Roll call?
I'd like to have discussion on the motion.
Okay, discussion on the motion, okay.
I hear Mr. Prohl asking that a committee of department heads and perhaps council members would study this purchase. I just want to remind council that this is not a department head decision on the accounting software. They would be folks that would use it, but we have a strong mayor form of government here, but the auditor's office does not work for the mayor. The auditor's office does not work for the department heads. The auditor's office is a separate elected position in this city that is ultimately responsible for how this is audited, the city, and its finances are audited. And if there is a great mistake, it's the auditor that goes to jail. It's truly, the buck stops at the auditor's office. So should we not give the responsibility to the auditor's office and those people who have to answer to the state auditors that come in and audit all this every year? The same auditor's office that has won outstanding audit reviews with the state, and give them the final say. I'm all for, if you need a little bit more time and need to understand the process, and if you feel rushed, we certainly could take some more time there, but it is not a department head's decision to make the choice on how we audit and present our financial books to the state of Ohio. I contacted Mary Taylor's office, our state auditor, over a year ago, August of '08, and asked if they had a recommendation on accounting software, because I could see that it would be a big ticket item and it was a worry to me. And the state auditor's office says, sorry, we don't make recommendations on individual software because each city chooses what they want. And the only recommendation of software is something that currently the state is offering for township official trustees to use for accounting, because the greatest amount of fraud on the state level is where they're finding with townships on how they're using cheap software that doesn't totally track everything in compliance with the state auditor's laws. So I would just urge you that when you're making this decision, and you would want to table this, it will be on council's head if we have a major failure and we're not able to process payroll, because then you go back to the old-fashioned handwriting. We have been made aware that the system is starting to become unstable, but we know we can patch it and keep it running for a while. Don't make your decision political. Make your decision on sound reasons. If you feel that others that might come in contact with it need to have the demo, fine. But it is the auditor's office that makes the decision. It is the police chief that makes the decision on the police computers that we've already reviewed. And there wasn't a whole lot of questions at the last review session, to the concern of the mayor and to the concern of me. And if you need a little bit more time, fine. But keep the politics out and make sure that it's for the best of the city. And it is a high price tag, but if you want it to do what all we need. And I would caution you, there are currently some union contracts that we are going to have come before us that are going to ask for some more additional deductions, and we don't have the sectors to do it. So how do we process back payroll and new additional deductions to payroll effective January 1 without a very cumbersome process? Just be aware that there are consequences for delay. Not all of them we're even aware of, but if you need more time, I can respect that. That's my discussion on making the motion to delay.
I need to respond to a couple things here, I really do. First of all, the department's heads, and the ones who do the payroll, they're the ones we have the most contact.
Sure.
Also, they do with requisitions. But their input, they give to my girls when they're doing their payroll. And they're having problems with the system we're using now. It's cumbersome, as I said earlier. They will receive training as soon as this thing is set up. We will be holding training classes and those are budgeted for in this whole cost. Okay, those are budgeted for. The other thing is, Billy, I heard what you said about running for re-election. You know what? I could have put this thing off until after the election, never brought it up. But I didn't feel that we could because of the urgency of the situation. If this thing breaks down like it did for 6 days, and we had a payroll coming up, I was the one who was laying there not being able to sleep for the whole weekend. Finally it came back to life, and everything's been okay since, except for a couple of minor things. But I think it's important that everybody know that. I mean, I could have left this thing go, and it's not politically popular. I mean, I hear the complaints, and I tell you what I'm concerned about it also. And that's why I took the trouble to go through this thing piece by piece, line by line, with my deputy, and made the decision we came to because we thought this was the best system for the future. Thank you very much, Bob.
Okay. Mrs. Lester?
President Schultz, I just have one question. This system that we're talking about, when will it go into effect? After the first of the year or before?
Here's, let me tell you how this works.
Okay.
First of all, we've got to get it ordered, number one. Number two, we got to get the hardware ordered, purchased, and put in place, number two. Number three, we had to start setting up the system. We had to run them side by side for a while. The longer we delay, the longer it's going to take to get implemented. Now, while we have this going on, the state auditor is going to be in the office doing their pre-audit work in the last part of the year, November, December, and they're in there all month of January and in February and in March. So there's a lot of things going on, and I know the mayor can attest to this. When we do the purchase orders at the beginning of the year, there's stacks and stacks and stacks of them. So I mean, there's a lot of things to be happening. So to give you an exact timeline would be difficult right at this point in time, but it will happen as soon as possible, I guarantee you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other comments? Mr. Kroll?
I'd just like to say, you know, I don't think it was intentional, but the idea that this is somehow a political decision is nothing to be farther from the truth. I was elected by the people of Chillicothe, not by any particular party, and I take that very seriously. I try to do my best for everyone, regardless of party affiliation, and this is something that is in no way to disrespect the auditor and his efforts or his department. All I want is for those people that have a vested interest in this software to have a chance to review it and give any input before we make a purchase of this size. Responsibility, that's all I ever ask for from the people I vote for, and I expect that the people that support me ask for the same thing from myself. So this is not any way a slight, and it's not saying that we can't work through this process and have this done in a timely fashion. New World had said that they would be glad to come down and present their presentation again to another group, and they were very gracious about that. So this is something that I believe that we can move through and have a solution in a timely manner. But I just don't want this to seem like it's an attack on Mr. Morrissey, who I think does a fine job, and I really don't want this to be about some kind of political agenda, because that is not what we're looking at. We're just looking at how we can best serve the people of this city and how we can best spend the money and buy the best resources. And that's why I would like just a little bit more time to put this on the table until we can have everybody take a look at it. Of course, the auditor's office, their opinion on this would carry a lot more weight because they do have to deal with this. So there we go.